Expressing through the brush. In this video, we are going to talk about another tool that is versatile in that it helps to process emotions as well as connects us to the expression that wants to come through. And we will be breaking out our creative supplies for this tool. Have on hand your canvas, paints, and brushes. And let's talk about the first practice, which is called compose painting. This is a great way to express your emotions through paint and canvas. Think of this canvas as a composting canvas. The idea is that every time you feel uncomfortable emotions, you can paint on this canvas. It is helping you to compose the emotional charge, the uncomfortable stuff, and to process it and transmute the heavy energy. To practice this, simply take a deep breath and tune in to what you are feeling. Let yourself honestly feel the emotions that are rising without judgment. Then ask yourself, what color are you drawn to at this moment? And pick maybe one color, one to two colors, wet your brush, dip them in the paint, and start to paint on the canvas. You can even first paint with water on the canvas prior to applying the paint. Move your hand and brush any way that it wants to, and let your intuition guide you. Let the brush guide you. Then you can pick a different color and repeat the process. Simply let yourself feel the uncomfortable emotions and transfer them onto the canvas through the act of painting. There is nothing to create in this moment. What you are painting is not relevant. Simply the act of painting and channeling your emotions through the paint is important at this moment. Continue to do this for about 5 to 10 minutes and then tune into how you feel. If called to, continue this for some more time. And when complete, take a deep breath, wash your brushes, pour out the water, and keep your canvas away once the paint has dried. Reserve this canvas to help you compose the discomfort of emotions as they come up, and simply layer on paint each time you enter a session like this. This is a practice best done regularly, and here the act of transferring your emotions onto the canvas is helping greatly to process the emotional charge. It can be as short as 2 to 5 minutes or as long as 30 minutes or more. It really depends on what you are feeling in that moment. Doing this at the end of the day or at the end of a busy week can help to clear negative emotions and bring us back to center. Now let's talk about metacognitive painting. The practice of metacognitive painting is similar to that of metacognitive drawing, but instead of a pen, we use paint and a brush. It is thinking about thinking while moving the paintbrush. Similar to metacognitive drawing, this is an intentional creativity practice that helps us to have access to insights in regards to a specific situation or where we may be feeling stuck. And because we use paint instead of a pen, you may find that the effects are slightly different. To practice, get centered, take a deep breath, and prepare your materials. You will need paint, brush, and canvas, and if you don't have a canvas, even watercolor paper will work. Think about your question or situation and verbalize how you feel in this moment. Then simply dip the brush in paint and start moving the brush any way that it wants to. Do this for a minute to 2 minutes. Ask yourself a question or inquiry and then start drawing or moving the brush while you introspect on the situation. Notice insights arising, words and images that flash in your mind. How does the energy you feel about your situation shift as you paint? Notice the sound of the brush moving on the canvas, the sound that the brush makes while you are painting. Your observer state gets activated this way, where you are observing how you feel as the emotions arise and continuing to move the brush and hear the brush. After this, write down your insights in a journal. How does this practice feel different than metacognitive drawing? And do you notice yourself responding in a different way? In the pictures here, I've shared two different canvases. The first one is on watercolor paper, and the second one is on a canvas. And I worked on these at different times. I just let the brush move to however I was feeling in that moment. The third technique that we're going to talk about is making marks. In this technique, you move the brush intentionally on the canvas but make marks on it like lines, dots, dashes, and simple shapes that resonate in the moment. The marks we make are often symbols or messages from our inner wisdom. When we transfer them onto the canvas or paper, it opens up a line of communication from our inner terrain to our conscious mind, often giving us insights or language to convey what can seem vague. Regular practice of this strengthens our intuition because we are listening to the inner message. To practice this, take a deep breath and quieten the mind. Tune into your inner world. What mark wants to be made? What symbols are flashing through in this very moment? You then draw that on the canvas. You repeat the marks, letting the brush move on the canvas where it wants to. The marks you choose to make rise intuitively. So listen deeply to what your hand wants to create and then repeat that mark and continue this practice for about 2 minutes. Notice what arises. The idea here is to start listening deeply to how the expression wants to come through. What shape does it want to make? Mark making can help to loosen up blocked expression. If we cannot put into words what we want to say, but we can make a mark on the canvas, it still gives us access to the vague feeling within. Making marks also helps us to start to pay attention to symbols and images that may arise in our imagination or mind, and often these symbols are relevant to us and have meaning and messages for us. By acknowledging what is arising and then putting that onto the canvas or paper, it starts to make it real and gives us more access to our inner wisdom. For example, in the first picture in this painting, I'm making marks with dots. I have this crazy need to put down dots every time I draw. And I realized when I did it that it really allowed me to go into a meditative state. And in that state, I was able to access more information from within. It not only calmed me down, but I felt so much joy from the simple act of putting down dots in small circles. In the painting below that, I really felt drawn to painting eyes, the symbol for an eye. As I continued to repeat that pattern, I received insights about a particular situation where I was feeling stuck, and a perspective shift started to happen. I started to see the issue in a different way right as I was painting, and that created an opening for me. So, as you can see, these techniques can be used to unlock insights and also to help us move through heavy emotions that may come up when we start to unblock our expression. Have fun with these tools, play with these techniques, experiment with them, use them often, and note down what comes up in your journal.